Standard Bank is South Africa's biggest bank with a market cap of 176 billion rand. It has a 150-year history in South Africa and since 1990 has built operations in 18 countries elsewhere in Africa, where it also trades as Stanbic Bank. It is 20% held by ICBC of China, has a price-to-earnings ratio of 12 and a dividend yield of 4.5%. Obviously, we've seen a little history of late where we've had cost cutting coming into the fray. Standard Bank has pulled back somewhat on its global expansion, focusing on South Africa and Africa. And many would say in Africa, it has first move advantage.
It does, and it has done Africa properly. It hasn't just, sent one guy in with a suitcase full of US dollars. They've actually gone, met the Minister of Finance, applied for a license, capitalized it properly. So early stage, that's going to be bad because you're putting in a lot of capital before you're seeing returns, but in the long run, it is the right way to go. Where their competitors in some instances have got a lot of catching up to do. Having said that, I quite liked Standard Bank's global aspirations. There was a moment back in 2008 where they were one of the best capitalized banks in the world. They've decided largely to pull back from that, and I think it's because ICBC really wants to be the global player and they want Standard Bank to be their African entree. For me, tactically, there are issues about whether they couldn't do another big deal. For the moment anyway, they seem to be the sort of largest, but sort of sleeping a little bit down there on Simmons Street.
Let's look at this share price now. Standard Bank is tracking just below that 120 rand, so not bad when compared to previous highs.
Well, as Paul was saying, it's been a bit sleepy. If you just look at the share price over the last, 4 or 5 years, it's been pretty constant. So, it has been sleepy. You've just been picking up a dividend yield. But, coming back to Paul, I like the African expansion. I do think there is going to be, well, there certainly has been up until now, quite a lot of poor returns coming out of Africa. But setting up a new business, I've done it before, it's painful and it takes time. So I'm quite confident that long term they're going to get it right. And their South African business is still a great business.
Well, talking about their South African business, what do they say about companies that are in the throes of building a new head office? What is the big investment red flag there?
Yeah, that's normally a big negative. Look, that building you're referring to, I think the one in Rosebank, I think is going to be a head office for their corporate investment bank. I gather they are
I hope it's
bursting.
more than just their corporate investment bank, because it's a big building.
Well, is the CEO going to be there or is he going to stay downtown? I'm not sure.
I hope a lot of people are moving into that big space.
Yeah. So, apparently they're bursting at the seams down in their office complex, which is in the southern part of Joburg. Look, I want to go back to the global macro conversation. This share price doesn't look that great, but it's done better than Citibank and better than JP Morgan and better than Bank of America, because those were sky high, and then in 2008-09 they really crashed, and since then they've been subject to a lot of harsh regulatory oversight pressures. There's this Basel III thing, and all of the profitable stuff that they used to do, all the cowboy stuff, all the exciting hedge fund trading, mark-to-market, prop trading, all of that's been washed out. Our guys, our banks weren't as much involved in that, but the global appetite for banks because of the anticipated lower returns is what the problem is here. They've suffered from PE compression.
Hot or not on Standard Bank, Jonathan?
I think long term it's going to get it right, so I'm quite hot on it. You're going to collect a 4.5% dividend yield, and I think you'll get between 10 and 15% earnings growth.
Paul, do I need to guess whether you're hot or not on Standard Bank?
I'm going to say hot on this because it's our trade of the day, so we'll return to this conversation.